Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Check out the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. And we're going to be very soon, we'll have another podcast avenue for you to find us as well. Also, you can send messages to Donna at donnasedge.com if you have any questions, any requests, something you would like to see, recipes, whatever. I'm in it for you. I'm in it for you. Absolutely. DeJoly is with me right now. This is another segment. We talked about gardening 2 weeks ago and great ideas there on making your own gardening tea. But let's talk about that's healthy in one way of what we eat. Let's talk about another way to be healthy.
Okay. For me, one of the things that people will find when they look at my books is that they're about healing from trauma. And there's not a person in this world right now that hasn't had some sort of trauma. I mean, just being born is a trauma, but, but living in this world, we're inundated with media and all kinds of topics politically. I mean, we're always getting something. And if our psyche doesn't have a strong, quote, immune system to it, then we get mired in trauma. But I'm going to go back to the original trauma of living in a household where there's abuse or there's an underlying current of walking on eggshells, and that's an indication that there's abuse too. And so oftentimes that brings up issues of shame, because children, if a mother doesn't treat their child in a good way or is neglectful or whatever, sometimes they can make it up. They can, recognize it right away, and they go and make it up, because not every mother is a bad mother. I'm not implying that at all, but there are some times when they don't make it up. They don't even realize they've mistreated their child. And the child takes it as if it's their fault, like there's something wrong with them. And they spend their lives into adulthood trying to make it right, trying to get that kind of feeling from their relationships, from their job, from their religion, trying to get that feeling that they didn't get as that child, infant, and toddler. Because scientists have talked about the fact that children's personalities are already formed by the time they're 2 years old. And then up until 5, they're very susceptible and take on mental issues based on trauma that will stay within the rest of their lives unless they do some healing work, which I'm all into healing, I'm telling you. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today.
Is healing an ongoing process if you have been faced with trauma? Especially in family life growing up, do you ever get totally healed, or does it just get better?
Well, I think you can get better, and I think there are things that you can totally heal from. And I know that there are times when you feel like it's never going to be over. I went through a period of deep healing in my 30s and 40s, and then I kind of coasted and did the final work on that. And it allowed me to be open to more healing. And I'm a senior, and I'm still working. I don't call it working so much as I'm doing what I need to do to help me have healthy relationships ongoing. It's not something that you do one time and, oh, I'm fixed. It's something that you really have to take a look at, because what happens is we hide that bottom layer of grief, the grief that we didn't get what we wanted or needed when we were children. And we, on top of that, we put other things like you might have an actual, external trauma, like some children get sexually abused, or some people get beaten by their father, or they get raped when or they see something horrible, and that in itself can be a traumatic event. And so they think that their problem is stemming from that. But once they heal that, there's still that level of, why am I not feeling great? Why am I not experiencing joy? And so there's that other level that Kelly McDaniel talks about in her book called Mother Hunger, where the mother is the first environment in the womb that the child knows as secure. And they can, if the mother is going through trauma, or she's addicted, or there are other issues, that child is going to have that coming into the world. We talk about narcotic babies, and they have to become unaddicted as a child, and they end up having some mental issues based on what the mother has given them. And as they grow up into 1 and 2 years old, they have that underlying level of, am I going to get safety, love, comfort, security from my mother? My mother is the one who gives that to me first. Although every child needs at least one caretaker who is steady in their giving and loving and consoling and all kinds of things. And if they don't get that, then they're going to look for that in their adulthood as whatever's coming down the line. And they could end up being addicted to something. It could be shopping, it could be food, it could be drugs, cigarettes. There are some ways that we cope. We bring a coping mechanism into our lives, which has to do with trying to make up for the pain that we have of that trauma, that lower level trauma that you can't even put your finger on it. It isn't something that, quote, happened. It's something that is underlying everything. And then that is generally the grief of not having gotten your needs met as a child. So
but you're always searching, you're always looking for that one component.
That's right. You're always looking. And so Kelly McDaniel has done an amazing amount of research, and therapists come to her and they talk about it, and then they go and use it in their practice about how to deal with that. And there's always that edge, of, why am I not happy? This person is, a wonderful person. Why are they, why am I not happy? And it must be about me. There must be something defective about me. We always say that first. It's like, no.
What did I do? What did I do? What did I do?
That's right. And that's right, because that's the child thinking that when the mother is neglecting them, that it's because they've done something bad or they are bad. And in fact, it could be nothing to do with the child. It has to do with whether the mother is able to give what the child needs. And most mothers want to give. It's not that they want to traumatize their children, but sometimes just the smallest things can be traumatic to a child, and the mother may not notice it, and the child won't know it until they get to that healing level that they want to go further, and they can't figure out why they can't. Like, sometimes it will take you'll take notice of it when you're trying to get a better job, or get a raise in your job, or even become promoted in your job. Those things come in, and I can tell you that the self-talk that we have, our inner critic, that's all part of that underlying level of shame and grief that we have. And so we oftentimes say, well, I'm not good enough to have that job. Well, no, you're perfectly good enough to have that job. It's just that we do that self-talk because of what we've learned as a child, an infant.
And maybe you're afraid you're going to be let down again like you were as a child.
Right.
And so you just think, well, I'd just rather not go after that hot job, because I may get let down. That's
right. That's kind of like a ceiling that we self-impose. And it's based on our childhood, our thinking that as a child, well, and this is very common, that we we think that we've done something wrong, or we are wrong. We are defective.
Mm-hmm.
And so as adults, unless you heal that, unless you can see that you didn't get what you needed as a child, then, and it doesn't have to do with a horrible parenting. It just has to do with, you have needs as a child. They're primal. You need to be held. You need to have the look in your mother's eyes that you matter. You need to be mirrored, because children who aren't mirrored don't even know that they exist in reality. They look outside themselves for things to satisfy that hunger, that mother hunger. And as you can see that among people who are tremendously codependent, who look to others to satisfy that need within them. And they want to do that by pleasing those people so that they will return back into them the things that they don't have, which is the love and caring and mirroring that they didn't get as children.
Let's go back just a little bit. We're talking about while the baby is in the womb. Because there's something I picked up from my grandmother before my son was born. This is back in the day before you knew if you were going to have a girl or a boy. And so my grandmother would say, you need to be reading the Bible to the baby. You need to be talking to the baby. Whatever you do to that baby, that's the personality it's going to have. My grandmother actually said that.
Well, she was a very smart woman.
Well, I questioned that. I said, they're not even born yet. And she said, well, think about this in the Bible. She said, you remember when Mary went to see Martha to tell Martha she was going to have a baby. And Martha was already pregnant with John the Baptist. And so the baby actually leaped in the womb. She said, that's why I know that babies know what's going on before they're born. And that's why she was totally against abortion. She said, you're killing a living being. You know, you really are. So what I did, I love to read. So I was constantly reading to Brad before he was born, just a book after book after book after book. He always has a book in his hand. I mean, this guy, he's an avid reader. I mean, this is real books back here, and I have many, many more. I have some in a garage that I've got so many, I don't have room for them. And he is the same way. I mean, he has this huge library. And so it is true. What you do before the baby is even born has an impact on that child.
Yeah. And the same goes with putting your hands on your belly, comforting, singing to the child, you know, all of those things are comforting. But as they come out of the womb and they do have that trauma of coming down that tunnel, if you can hold the baby right away and either sing or you, as you said, talk to them, read to them, they get that total feeling of safety and love, even when they come into a world where it's very harsh, because they've lived in this warm water for so long,
It's
you know,
nice.
And then all of a sudden they're in this harsh world.
The one thing my grandmother was wrong on, we're going to have to go into a commercial break. She was wrong on this one thing.
What?
So one day my grandmother was over and I was singing the Blondie song, One Way or Another, I'm going to find you, I'm going to get you, get you, get you, get you. I was singing that song and she said, you don't need to be singing that song. He's going to turn into a rocker. Well, he's not a rocker. She was wrong on that. So I was just having fun with my grandmother. One way or another, I'm going to find you. And so I was doing that song and she was going, you need to be singing Amazing Grace, not that song. But anyway, let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a minute. Everybody hang in there. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. Regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
You have been at this for 12 years. Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
Rated PG-13.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. We are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IAC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can always find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's local to Alabama and North Alabama. You can also find us on worldwide syndication, and that's through Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Check out the podcast, netsnewsnetwork.net. We'll have another announcement coming up pretty soon with another podcast, so we're really excited about that as well. Special thanks to all of our sponsors. You guys are absolutely fantastic. We appreciate the confidence you place in us, and we appreciate you sticking with us as well and taking that long ride with us as we grow. I have DeJoly with me. DeJoly has actually been a guest of the show how many years? I don't even know now.
It's got to be at least 7. At least 7.
It's been a long time, and I'm always looking forward to our interviews, and it's always exciting news. Let's dig a little bit deeper. So this book is by Kelly McDaniel, and you can find it on Amazon, and it's called Mother Hunger.
Right.
So a lot of us are going through these issues in life. We don't know how in the world, but we can find. Now, make sure you find someone that you trust. Like DeJoly is someone you can trust. Now, you're out on the open circuit. You go out, you speak. You also an author of several books yourself. How can folks get in contact with you?
They can get me through Facebook. My name is there on your screen. DeJoly Labrier. They can get me on Facebook, and they can find my books on Amazon.com. I have 3 books out, and they are about dealing with healing from trauma and going forward as a healed person. And then, for me, it's like it's not over till it's over, And so I'm also in the process of doing some healing work around that underlying shame and guilt and unwantedness from my childhood, which goes, literally. You can, if you see a traumatic event, like somebody got hit by a car, if you just see that in itself is enough to cause trauma, and you have to do some healing work around that. And then there will be that level of, I don't quite feel right. I don't feel good. I'm looking for something that I can't find, and I don't even know what it is. That's where Kelly McDaniel's book will help bring some of that up and out. And so I'm really glad that I discovered that, because she's done a lot of work. And also Mario Martinez, who is a neuropsychologist and researcher, has done a lot of work with archetypal wounds that goes across the world. And he found that there are 3 archetypal wounds that every society and every culture has, which are shame, abandonment, and betrayal. And they're countered by honor, commitment, and loyalty. So if you can look at those 2 things, those 2 aspects of archetypal wounds and archetypal healing modes, then you're able to get deeper and deeper into letting go of the underlying shame of what we got as children. Like there are a lot of people wet the bed and or mess their pants when they're 5 or 6 years old, and they get shamed by that. That's nothing to be ashamed of. That's just simply it happened, But we as a culture have a tendency to make children feel bad for their mistakes or their body functions. Body functions are just body functions, So as that happens, that could be part of the underlying shame of, well, I'm not good enough, or I did something bad, or I am bad. That's where the children normally go. I am bad. So for me, it's like, let's look at the top part, look at the archetypal woundings and healing fields, and then go forward and go into a place where you can find joy. Bring that into your life. Bring it in as deeply and as frequently as possible. Try not to associate with people who are always negative, or who always bring up, your faults, as they call them, because they're judging you. They're judging you that you are a fault. And so try to stay in the positive as much as possible, because you're going to be inundated in your daily life with negativity. So why not why not make that choice to do something good for yourself by bringing in positive?
Sometimes coworkers can bring things out. I was working in a corporate environment, and it was better for me just to stay out. There was a little bit of jealousy there, because I made a good living working there. It was a headache job. I would never want to be the manager of this company. It was horrid. So I was perfectly happy being an outside sales rep, and my accounts were companies and that kind of thing. So I sold a lot of cell phones, but I had worked around people who felt, and it wasn't everybody, but a few of them that would make life a little hard on you because they felt insecure and they didn't want to do it. Now what I did was a hard job. I couldn't sit and wait on it to come to me. I had to go out and get it. So there was a huge difference between what I did and what they did. Theirs would just, it would come into them. And that's why I was paid more, because I had to go dig it up.
That's right.
So, but there was a lot of weirdness that went on within an organization. And the deeper I dug into it, most of the people who had the high jobs were the most insecure people you would ever meet. They were always afraid they were going to lose their jobs.
And that I found that also to be true with people who have wealth. Oftentimes having wealth, having a good paying job, all that is the person is striving to make more and more and more because they're never going to be filled unless they do that healing work. If they're filled, then enough is enough. You don't have to continue striving to get something more or be something better, because you'll recognize that you are enough. You don't have that feeling of having to move, because it can be a distraction. It can be a distraction from healing those wounds.
Absolutely. About 2 minutes left in this segment, but I also noticed the same thing with a lot of folks. The more money they made, the more money they spent, because they were constantly trying to outdress somebody else, wear the flashy jewelry, spending money on stupid stuff. I mean, just, Well,
that's called self-sabotage. And it has to do with their woundings as a child, because they don't feel worthy of keeping it. They have it's like, oh my God, the universe made a mistake and gave me all this money. I've got to get rid of it because I don't deserve it. Well, that they can do what we perceive as stupid things with their money, but in essence, they're trying to tell themselves even, I need to do some healing work about not feeling good enough to have this money or have this new job or this beautiful car. There's that evidence in their behavior and in their mental capacity that says they need some healing work.
Well, and they always felt, it was mostly women, and they would feel the need to let you know how much they spent for their clothes, and they didn't want to be caught in the same suit twice. I mean, it was just that over and over again. And I wore different clothes too, but I went to the thrift store. I did it the smart way. And
well, I have a level of compassion for those women, because even though they can be a little obnoxious sometimes, and toward us, I can see that they have
I understand why.
They have to heal. They cannot just continue going that way and not. But I mean, people do. They don't do the necessary healing that it takes to have a joyful life. But I recommend healing.
DeJoly, how can folks find your work? We've got less than 30 seconds.
Okay, my less than 30 seconds is go to Amazon.com and look up my name, and you'll find 3 of my books. And if you want to talk to me, go to Facebook under my name. It's DeJoly Labrier, and I'll be glad to answer your questions.
There you go. Thank you so much for being on the show again today. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome, Donna. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you shortly with another awesome guest. You hang in there.